databases. Yay, databases!
Yes.
What? That was not appropriately enthusiastic.
Yeah.
All right. So, who can remember what a database? We talked about what they are last week. Who can remember? Reagan's gonna help me.
Something with information.
They have information. Good.
It's kind of like a index for information. Kind of where to
Okay.
find
I
stuff.
don't know if this is the word I would use, but let's hold that thought. What do you think?
It gives you multiple sources that you can use, and it also sometimes has original database content.
Very nice, Landon. Yeah. So it has some original database content sometimes, right? But often it's just like a collection of stuff from all over the place. Okay? Can anyone remember my metaphor? It was a similar metaphor. I don't know if I used like or as in there or not.
The mall.
The mall. Which one was the mall? The database or a website?
The
Right, because you can get stuff from where?
and
Anywhere, right? Exactly. So a database is like going to the mall. It has lots and lots of different options you can get stuff from. I can go a lot of different places. Jason, I Joe Pennies, it's true. Okay, thank you, Zachary. Okay, however, if I go to like a freestanding store, right, can I get stuff from all different places? I can only get stuff from that one place, right? That's what a website's like. If I go to a website, I'm just getting that website's information. That's the difference between a database and a website, okay? Do me a favor, grab your iPad. Go to Safari. And Catherine was holding up like, I'm ready, I have my iPad. Game on. You're gonna go to library.fwcd.org. That is our libraries page. And we just skip the step where we go through the home page. That's all we did. Okie doke. We may have a few snafus as we go through this today because every once in a while a database asks for a username and password, you have to look them up and stuff, but we should overall end up in the right place. So we are here, yes? Do we have this screen with the blue at the top? What do we do now? Who remembers?
FWCD libraries.
Thank you. We click FWCD libraries. Is it not very good? Is it working? Okay. All right, now I want you to look at the top of the screen. What button might help us? What was that, Catherine? Nice and loud? Very nice. This big gray button that says go to the databases, right? That's what we're doing today. So click the gray databases button. You get it, have my mouse up properly. Yes, ma'am.
my iPad is
Not feeling it today?
Yeah, it's really
Is it,
cracked.
what's it doing?
Yeah, like I can't.
This screen, yes?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. There are a lot of different databases, okay? A lot of databases we have to pay to use. So the school pays so that you get access to them, right? Notice these drop downs at the top. Do you see those? We're gonna start playing with those. What is your paper about? The Great Depression. If you had to like think of a category that would fit into, what kind of category might you give it? What do you think? Okay, so you could do something with time, right? So you could put like the decades, the end of the 20s, the beginning of the 30s, right? Yes.
A subject, history.
A subject like history, very nice. Oh, you could look for something super specific, right? We might end up holding that till later, but that's something to keep in mind as well, okay? So let's see what our options are. Let's look at our first drop down, which says all subjects. What do you think might help you here? We have arts and music, biography, current issues. Let's get Zachary's voice and we're gonna get Mia's voice in here.
History, probably.
You think history might help us? I would agree with that. Very good. History would be a great choice. Mia, what were you thinking?
Maybe the biography.
Interesting. Why would biography maybe help us?
Like the FDR biography, it would tell you about that time and what he did in that time.
So we know about FDR. Who else could we look at? Who we learned a little bit about?
Hoover.
Very good. Hoover, right? So we've got some people who might help us too, huh? All right, we're going to start with history because that's the one that makes the most sense to me. For what we're working on. And then it says all database types. Okay. It's okay to just choose the middle school ones. Why might that benefit me right now? What do you think?
Because we're middle school.
Because we're middle schoolers, right? Yeah, some of the upper school ones might be really intended for like 11th and 12th graders, right? And we're 7th graders, so it's okay to not look at those. If you use the middle school ones and you don't find what you need, would it be okay to go to like all of them and see what you get? Of course it is. Okay. Let's hit middle school. Okay, so now we're down to 21 options, which is still a lot, isn't it? Let's scroll through and look. So they're organized alphabetically. Can you see that? So if I know what I'm looking for, like if there's one specific one I want to look at, I could click on a letter and it would take me to that letter. But if we take a look, so there's academic search complete, America's historical newspapers. What do you think you will find in America's historical newspapers? Historical newspapers, that was a very good guess, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you're going to get news articles from newspapers, and look at the years, from 1690 to 2000. That's a pretty broad range, isn't it? But it's going to give you all newspaper articles. Yes, dear.
And it also says Great Depression in part of the description.
Precisely. Look at how descriptions can help you out. That's incredible, isn't it? Okay. Then you have 2 American history ones, right? Did you use a source called American History at one point already?
Yeah.
Why, yes. Yes, you did. You used a database by the name of American History. And you can continue to scroll through these and take a look. Okay, there's daily life through history. So as we keep going through this, we talked about questions. What kind of question did we say you might need to do your research? Think about that for a second. What kinds of questions do you need? Would a yes or no question be a good basis for research?
No.
What kinds of questions would you need?
Why?
Why questions? Courtney, want to add to that? Is that what you're going to say? Okay. So as you're thinking about what you're interested in, do you want to look at, you could look at something as specific as the daily life of like a certain group of people, couldn't you? You could do something about the daily life of farmers in the Great Depression, couldn't you? Okay. Or you could go a lot broader. You could go super specific and only look at this as the Dallas Morning News Historical Archive, right? So you could specifically look at the Great Depression in Texas if you wanted to, couldn't you? You could look at the impact that Hoover had or the impact that FDR had on the Great Depression, right? So really thinking as you're going through this and starting, okay, what is it that I'm interested in? What do I want to know more about? What why questions or do I have that I might be able to answer? Okay? So let's go back up to the top and let's look at that historical newspaper one. See what we get. How's that sound? So everybody go here and click America's historical newspapers. Now notice it takes me to it's not opening a new window. As you're going through these, sometimes it's going to open a new window, sometimes it's going to change the screen you're on. So just be aware of that as you're looking at different sources and maybe you want to be able to access them again. Okay, you don't want to lose that. Yes?
Can I ask for a username?
Oh, okay. If at any point you get this question, I'm going to show you where to go. So when I'm in the I'm going to jump back to my libraries page for a second. And I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find where it has my passwords. You see this right here? Library resource passwords. Now, if I just click on this, you know what's going to happen? It might open over this tab, and then I'm going to have to go find this again, which is a lot of energy, and I don't want to do that. So you'll probably hold down. I'm going to right click and open it in a new tab. Okay? And now here are all of my awesome passwords and everything. So we are in Newsbank. Here it is. FWCDS Falcons. Did anybody else get that login or just Sydney? Most likely said that just means you weren't logged into your school account at the moment. Okay. Okay. So now it gives me a whole bunch of options. This is what some of these databases are going to look like. You're going to click and you're going to be like, I found what I want. And then it's going to open and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, there are so many choices. What do I do now? So let's look. What do we do now, do you think? What are you noticing are written on these different buttons? Because there are lots of buttons. We got buttons in the middle. We got buttons on the left. What do you think, Landon?
Well, some of them had dates on them.
Okay, so date. So would this one help me? Newsbank popular periodicals 1992 to current.
No.
Why would that not help me, Jack?
Because it's not in the time period that we want.
Precisely, sir. All right, what are you noticing? You had your hand up too.
Like Americans, historical newspapers.
Very good. There we go. So I clicked America's historical newspapers on that first screen, but then I still had to click it again on the next one. And that might happen to you. You might have to kind of go through and figure out what to push on. And that's okay. That's part of this process. It's part of the learning, okay? Don't get frustrated because you open something and it's not what you're expecting, okay? All right, now take a look. What can I do here? I have some options. Yes, go ahead, Jack.
You can keep scrolling down and yours getting larger.
Or I can even use this, can't I? Do you see my little drop down here? So I can scroll and kind of see what all is happening here. Or at the top, I can use my drop down and I can actually pick Great Depression. Now, if I'm interested more in what caused the Great Depression, where do you think I should look? What do you think, Catherine?
The Roaring 20s.
The Roaring 20s. I might need to learn a little bit more about that too, huh? I would still probably look at the Great Depression. I'm probably going to find good information there as well. But if I'm most curious about what caused the Great Depression, I might have to look at more than just that. Or if I'm most curious about what ended the Great Depression, where might I look to? World War II, right? I might need more than just this one category if my interests lie on one end or the other, okay? So I'm going to pick Great Depression. And look, it gives me all of this great information. It has these dates over here, okay, and it's divided up for me, which is really helpful. If I'm interested in the political pieces, so government, military, and political events, this first column is going to give me a whole bunch of stuff, okay? If I'm interested more in the social and cultural things, so I'm looking at a certain group of people, you know, how did it affect literature, or how did it affect, oh, look at this, modern dance. I got all kinds of options here, guys. Then I'm gonna look in this column right here, okay? Or I could even look at science, right? Discoveries, inventions, and firsts. I could think about how the Great Depression impacted the changes that were like what came about in science and discovery, couldn't I? So I have lots and lots of choices, okay? And so then I could maybe I'm gonna click on the Nobel Prize for Literature and I'm gonna read this article. Now once I get here, then I have to figure out how to cite it. Why would I cite it before let me rephrase that. I'm gonna look over it and see if it has stuff I might use. Because if I look over this and I'm like, all this tells me is about what this guy wrote and that isn't really what I was looking for, am I gonna use it? No. But, if this gives me some great information, why would I want to make my citation right away? Why would that help me? What do you think, Reagan?
So like you need to come back to it and you have to like write the like URL.
Very good. That way I can copy and paste my URL right into my Noodle tools, can't I? Which is important, okay? I can find it again. That's a really good point from Reagan. I like that point a lot as well. It also means, when I make my note cards, what do I have to put on them? What goes in the top right corner of your note cards? I heard it. What was it? Citation, right? Can I put a citation on my note card if I don't know what I'm writing? It doesn't work very well, does it? Okay? So skim something first. Make sure you think it has what you're looking for. Then make your citation, and then really dig in and start your note cards, okay? I'm going to go back to that first screen. So I'm here. If I didn't want to browse this way, I could actually just hit that search tab over here. And then I might be able to look at, like, let's see, farmers, 1930s. Let's see what we get. Boom. Let's see. There's an opinion article from 1892. Will that help me? No, I should not look at that one. I was all excited and then I got disappointed. Here is the Dallas Morning News, February 24th, 1929. And I can just click and view the article or the full page, either one. When I click full page, look what it gives me. Cool. It's going to think really hard about it for a while. There we go. So what do I have in front of me right now?
Newspaper.
Yeah, this is the entire page that article is on. Do you think this is really what I'm looking for?
No.
If I go back and I just click, let me find the same one, view article, look what it gives me. This is just going to give me the article that I was curious about. Cotton makes net advance of 7 or 8 points in New Orleans market. What's an advance? Is that good or bad?
Good.
That's a good thing, right? So it's talking about how cotton was making, making more money, right? Okay. news article maybe be helpful to me specifically, as opposed to like looking at an encyclopedia? What does a news article give me that an encyclopedia can't, do you think, Catherine?
Kind of like a personal view.
Yeah, so if I find something like an opinion column, right, it can give me someone's personal view. It's also what we call a primary source. Who's worked with primary sources before? What do you think, Reagan?
I did it in fifth grade when I forgot what it was.
That's okay. Does anyone else? What do you think, Landon?
Well, it's not coming from someone who's like learned or like
Studied
learned
it.
or studied it. It's coming from someone who experienced it.
So some of your databases are going to have secondary sources, like someone went and researched the Great Depression and wrote an article, right? These are what we call primary sources because they were actually written at the time by people experiencing it. And it wasn't done as a report. These are news articles, right? So here, you see future farmers and veterans conclude. This is a Dallas Morning News article from October 26th of 1931. Might that help you if you're looking into farmers in the Great Depression? It might. You'd have to open it and read it and look, wouldn't you? But it sounds like it could be on the right track. And it talks about how farmers and veterans were working together, which is interesting too, isn't it? Okay. Are you understanding how we work with databases? I know they can be a little intimidating at first, but I have faith in you. Okay? I would like you to spend today trying to find at least one database article you think you can use. I would love for you to have more than one, but let's focus on getting at least one. Does that sound good? You may use any of those databases that were there. You know how to find the passwords. Can you ask for help if you get stuck? Mm-hmm. As you're searching, should you try and write a sentence like, what caused the Great Depression in your search bar? Why not? Why would that not be the right call? Wake up, children. Yes, Lynn.
It's a little too broad.
A little too broad. What were you thinking, Carter? The same or different?
That was detailed.
Hmm?
That was vague.
Yeah, it's real vague. It doesn't. What a search bar is going to want is going to be keywords, right? Does it want a sentence? Sentences don't help it, do they, Kaylee? Sure it says today. Okay. Just checking. So make sure you're thinking of those keywords. What are the things I really want to know about? Great Depression might help you, right? Or 1930s. If Great Depression doesn't get you one, try 1930s even, okay? What are some other keywords that might help us? What do you think?
Like, how did it begin?
Okay. Maybe again that's kind of like a sentence, right? So try words like begin, or change it out if begin doesn't work, change it out for causes. Or change it out for what's another word for causes? Somebody help me out. Reasons, yeah. So you can change out if you've got a word and it's not giving you one, try changing the word for something similar, okay? Also think about what it is you're interested in. Are you looking at farmers? Are you looking at Hoover? Are you looking at FDR? Are you looking at the New Deal? Okay? And get those keywords in there as well. And change it up. If you're searching and you don't get what you want, adjust the words in your search bar. Okay? If you try a few times with different words and you still aren't getting anywhere, ask for help, and then we can talk about should we try something new in the search bar or should we try maybe a different database, okay? Cool beans? Yes, Jen.
So we finished 2 minutes on a whiteboard.
Let's talk about that one on okay? All right.